The McGraw brothers thought mail-order brides would save their dying ranch, but instead they uncovered a hidden criminal operation. Behind Olivia's laughter and Sarah's quiet smile lurked a chilling scheme that betrayed every ounce of trust. But Liam and Jack weren't about to let their family's legacy fall without a fight, and fate had one last card to play. Just wait until you see how this desperate battle for survival turned into a stunning victory for justice. At the edge of sun-scorched Texas, the McGraw brothers' ranch was barely clinging to life. Once a proud stretch of land, it now lay cracked and dry, battered by drought and debts that grew faster than any crop they could plant. After their parents passed, Liam and Jack fought to keep the ranch alive, but with each passing season, hope faded a little more. Desperate, Liam made a choice that felt half crazy, half necessary. He signed them up with a Salvation Marriage Agency, one that promised hard-working wives for struggling ranchers. One lonely August evening, a battered old truck kicked up a storm of dust as it pulled into their yard. Two women stepped out. Olivia, a graceful blonde with bright laughing eyes, and Sarah, a serious brunette, more like a schoolteacher than a farm girl. Both polite, eager to help, and seemingly heaven-sent. At first, life felt like it had turned a corner. Olivia brought laughter back into the empty house, while Sarah rolled up her sleeves and sorted out the ranch's books. Jack, quiet and wary by nature, soon found himself drawn to Sarah's calm steadiness. Liam couldn't help but fall for Olivia's spark. But little things started to bother Liam. Olivia dodged every question about her past, and every night Sarah would disappear into the old barn, locking the doors behind her. Liam told himself not to worry. Maybe they just needed time. But one night, long after the lights were out, he heard voices whispering behind the barn walls. Voices that didn't belong. Liam couldn't shake the gnawing feeling twisting in his gut. Night after night, Sarah would slip away after dinner, lantern in hand, vanishing into the old barn like she had some private ritual. That night, he couldn't hold back any longer. Keeping to the shadows, he trailed her across the dry, cracked yard, the only sounds the creak of the barn door and the whisper of the wind through the broken fence line. From a narrow gap in the wood, he caught sight of her. Inside, under the trembling glow of a kerosene lamp, Sarah leaned over a battered workbench. She wasn't mending gear or fixing tools. No, she was carefully filling page after page with names, payment amounts, and routes snaking across detailed maps of the southern border. Her movements were quick, methodical, practiced. Liam's heart froze. Every instinct screamed that this wasn't some harmless secret. Sarah wasn't a shy farmhand trying to adjust to ranch life. She was orchestrating something much bigger and far more dangerous. Reeling, Liam spent the next day digging into the past they had both been too eager to ignore. The truth about Olivia hit even harder. Her full name wasn't Olivia Rose. It was Olivia Kincaid, a name tied to a string of warrants across 3 states for fraud, grand deception, and vanishing acts that left ruined lives in her wake. When Liam finally cornered Jack and laid it all out, the shock on his brother's face said it all. Jack had wanted so badly to believe in Sarah, in the dream that maybe they could be saved, that he had missed every warning sign. Now, staring at the cold, brutal facts, both brothers realized the same thing. The women they had trusted to save their home were about to destroy it. And worse, the clock was already running out. Sarah and Olivia weren't just passing through. They had chosen the McGraw Ranch as the perfect cover, isolated, forgotten, and ideal for moving something across the border without quest. By the next night, the first wave was set to arrive. If Liam and Jack didn't act fast, everything they had left, the ranch, their freedom, maybe even their lives, would be swallowed whole. And this time, no miracle was riding in to save them. The brothers knew they couldn't stay silent. Time was running out, and if they didn't move first, it would be too late. They made a plan. Liam, keeping his voice steady, convinced Olivia he wanted in. that he understood the business she and Sarah were running and was ready to help protect it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he sent a message to the only man they could trust, Sheriff Tom Canlow. Tom had been a friend of their father, a man who once promised to look after Liam and Jack if anything ever happened. When he read Liam's words, there was no hesitation. He saddled up and gathered a handful of deputies he knew he could trust. As night fell, the ranch held its breath. Hidden deep in the shadows of the old horse barn, Liam and Jack watched the dirt road with pounding hearts. The only sound was the distant chirp of crickets and the restless stomp of horses in their stalls. Then, headlights flared in the dark. A heavy, unmarked truck rumbled into the yard, its engine growling low. The doors swung open, and strangers climbed out, moving with a purpose. They carried wooden crates, heavy, battered, and locked tight. Sarah stepped forward, all business, cold as steel. She barked quiet orders, her voice sharp in the night air. Olivia lingered closer to the house, her eyes darting nervously from shadow to shadow, sensing, somehow, that something was wrong. From the barn, Liam could barely breathe as he watched the first crate crack open. What spilled out wasn't contraband. It wasn't weapons. It was people, women and children, their faces pale with fear, crammed into the tight, dark spaces like forgotten freight. Their quiet sobs filled the air. For a split second, Liam felt like the world had tilted sideways. Then fury blazed through him. Without thinking, he charged from the shadows, rifle in hand, Jack right at his side. "Freeze!" Liam's voice ripped across the yard. For a heartbeat, everything stood still. Then chaos erupted. From the darkness beyond the house, Sheriff Canlow and his deputies stormed the ranch, their badges glinting under the headlights. Yells echoed into the night. Sarah bolted for the back fields, but 2 deputies were already after her. Olivia ducked into the house, disappearing into the gloom, but there was nowhere left to hide. In minutes, it was over. The intruders were disarmed and restrained. The rescued women and children were ushered to safety by the deputies. And Liam found Olivia near the fireplace, sitting on the floor with her hands raised. He crouched down, slipping the cuffs onto her wrists as she stared at him with empty, exhausted eyes. In a voice barely louder than a whisper, she said, "I just want it out, no matter what it cost." For a long moment, Liam didn't say anything. There were no words left, only the heavy silence of a night that had changed everything. The days after that long night were heavy and slow, like the land itself was holding its breath. The sheriff's men moved swiftly. Every member of the smuggling ring was tracked down and taken into custody. Witnesses were protected, files were opened. A part of the world that had been hidden in the shadows was finally dragged into the light. But the ranch, the place Liam and Jack had fought so hard to save, felt hollow now. Empty barns, quiet fields. The wind moved through the broken fence rails like a whisper, stirring up dust but offering no comfort. It was Sheriff Tom Canlow who made sure the brothers weren't left standing alone. He personally lobbied the authorities, insisting that without the McGraw's courage, the entire operation might have gone unnoticed for years. Their debt was cleared, officially and permanently, and the ranch was declared a protected site, a symbol of the rescue that had taken place there. Still, it didn't feel like victory. Not right away. One evening, as the sun bled out across the endless sky, Liam and Jack stood side by side on the sagging front porch. They watched the barren fields stretch into the horizon, a land that had cost them more than they could have imagined. Everything had changed. But deep down, they knew. They hadn't just saved the ranch. They had saved lives. People who had no one else willing to fight for them. Jack shifted, breaking the silence. "We're gonna have to start over," he said, voice low but steady. Liam nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. And this time, no shortcuts. At their feet, a newspaper fluttered in the breeze. Across the front page, bold letters declared, "McGraw Brothers help uncover largest human trafficking ring in Texas history." For a long moment, neither of them moved. They just stood there, feeling the cool wind roll over the porch, carrying away the dust and the old ghosts. Whatever the future held, it would be built on something real, something earned. And deep down, they both understood. After everything they had lost, after everything they had fought through, this wasn't the end of their story. It was only the beginning.